Welcome to Real Life Stories. I'm Norm Rasmussen, and I'm going to be reading chapter 38 from the Real Life Stories book. This is titled, At Only 13 Years Old. At only 13 years old, the desire to fit in and the desire to have friends consumed me and led to many problems. My problems started when I turned 13. As a child, I'd always wanted to fit in, have lots of friends, etc. All kids do. But at age 13, the desire to fit in completely consumed my life. Started smoking because my friends did, and I wanted to look cool. By age 14, alcohol, marijuana, and sex all become a part of my life. My parents had no idea about the alcohol and drugs, but my mom found out about the sex and made me go to the doctor. The doctor told me I had contacted STD. It was curable, but if it had been left untreated, the disease most likely would have spread and left me infertile. I was so glad my mom found out and made me go to the doctor. I was grounded for 6 months after that episode, but I still had to go to school. My parents had no idea what I was doing at school, and during the hours I was supposed to be at school. The downward spiral continued with more drinking, more sex, and more drugs. Boy, did I think I was hot with all these older men following after me. Things progressively got worse. When I turned 16, my parents bought me a car. I couldn't get my driver's license until 6 months after my 16th birthday, so I was legally only allowed to drive the car with a parent in the front seat. Well, during the summer break from school, my parents were both gone at work all day, so I snuck the car out on a regular basis. I was drinking and driving, and I was smoking pot and driving. I didn't even have a license. That summer, I ended up overdosing and landed myself in the hospital. All this, even though I was raised in a Christian home by strict parents who set a good example for me and my younger sister. All this, even though my parents started praying for me before I was even conceived. There wasn't a single day of my life that they didn't pray for me. When I was released from the hospital, my parents isolated me from my friends. At first, I was devastated. But it wasn't too long after I found new friends. I never did do drugs again, and I never got into any trouble again, but I still wasn't leading a good life, and I still wasn't walking with the Lord. I was still smoking, having sex, and leading a life of filth. When I was 19, I met my future husband. He was living the same lifestyle I was. We were definitely equally yoked. Both raised in Christian homes, but living in the ways of the world. Little by little, we cleaned up our acts. Together, we quit smoking. We got married, and after a couple of years, decided to have a baby. We both promised that once we had the baby, we'd get ourselves and our child in church. But we both knew that we were making an empty promise and had no real intention of going to church. Then, when I was 7 months pregnant, my husband and I had a family crisis. It was a problem that could potentially ruin both of our lives. God grabbed a hold of me and shook me like I've never been shaken before. I knew that I had to get my life on track. I recommitted my life to the Lord and got myself in church. That huge crisis was suddenly turned to dust. Once I turned my life back to Jesus, He took control of the situation. He patched up my wounds and healed my scars. My husband got back into church too. It took a couple of months, but after our beautiful baby girl was born, he too realized how important it was for us to have a family in church. I thank my parents for their continual prayer, and I thank God for every time He helped me. He kept me out of trouble. He kept me alive. He gave me the most wonderful husband, and He gave me the most beautiful children. Praise you, Jesus. This is written by Joy.